in the workplace, is a very definite occupational segregation where women are found in relatively few professions and men are found in many more professions. And there are many professions where women are in a tiny minority. And there are historical reasons for the exclusion of women that can be, for example, the impossibility of reconciling some kinds of work with family needs, women's responsibilities in the home, and so forth. There are also barriers to women participating that are physical, in the sense that if you have designed a job with men's bodies in mind, it's very hard for women to do them. That when the job has been conceived with both a social expectation of male participation and a number of design features that only have men, then it is hard for women to do these professions. But then when they try to enter the jobs, they're confronted with obstacles, and not only the physical dimensions of the job, but also the fact that they're going to be sexually harassed on a very constant basis. And this happens all the time. So what happens to the women is that they either develop a very thick skin, a very high resistance, and they just don't want to hear about anything to do with women because they want to be as much like men as they can, because if they aren't like men, then they're going to get harassed, both in a sexual way, but also harassed and bullied because they're not in the right place. So for all these reasons, it's very hard for women to get into these jobs, and the turnover rate is extremely high. The biggest one is probably could be summed up by saying lack of respect. And the lack of respect involves a lot of different outcomes. One is that if you're not respected at work, that's a horrible thing to feel. And there's all kinds of psychological distress that women experience because of lack of respect. But there's also lack of respect means that nobody's going to look to help you if your job is causing you problems. They're just going to say, well, you're complaining about nothing. And that's the other big problem that women have at work, is that the things that hurt men are obvious, not always obvious, but they're dramatic. They look terrible. They're scary. But the things that make women uncomfortable or risk their health at work, they're much less visible, because when danger is visible, we send men to do the job. When the danger is invisible, then women can do it because it doesn't really look like it's a problem. Well, if unions can't do it, I don't know who else can. And I think it's very important. I think forming women's committees within unions is very important. I think there is a public health issue in the fact that women are the people who give birth to children, and protection of pregnant women and adapting jobs for pregnant women is a big public health issue. I think that women are often confronted with a choice that is uncomfortable, and that is, if I try to be just like a man, then I will be more respected, but then I won't be able to work on things that really matter for me. So do I try to act as if women and men are exactly the same? And that way, that's a kind of a way of being feminist, is to say women are just as good as men. There's no important differences between women and men. Unfortunately, there are some differences both in the family situation, in the work situation, in how you're treated by your bosses, and in your biology. So that if you're going to really work on the things that matter, and that's what unions want to do, then you need to think also about specific aspects of the women's experience. when women start talking to each other and start sharing their experiences and concerns, then they learn new things about what could be done, or they get new ideas about what kinds of union actions are going to be helpful. And the input from the women actually is very helpful to the entire union movement. So it's something that I think unions would want to encourage. That there's two things that I find that you really can get people to talk about when you're because I do a lot of observation in the workplace. And if you talk about work schedules, everybody's interested, and particularly women, because people don't have enough hours. They don't have and if they want to have enough hours, they have to take shifts that are horrible and that don't allow them to be with their children and that are impossible to manage. So there's all those issues about work schedules that particularly impact women, but they impact everybody. And the other one in the service professions in North America is really prolonged standing because everybody feels everybody's back hurts, everybody's legs hurt. Everybody, when they get older, it's one of the things that causes urinary incontinence. So, and women never talk about that, but it's a big issue for anybody my age. So, you know, there are a lot of consequences. So these issues that women never tell anybody about, they never talk about it with the person next to them. But if you get them talking in a group about women's issues in my union, it's going to be very mobilizing for them.